on the management console, and then we need to install the same installation package on the endpoint. Okay, so we saw about installing, and once we install, we'll get the agent console. Okay, so this will be the agent console which we can access, and also we will have a site tool. Okay, so this is like a CLI interface on the agent side. We want to perform various things, right? So various capabilities can be done using your site tool. More on this site tool we'll discuss on day 3. Okay. Now, next, how do the XDR instance and the agent communicate with each other? Right. So there are two types of communication. One, HTTPS based communication. Another one is WebSocket. Okay. Now, what is this HTTPS based? Okay. Now, this is nothing but initiated by the agent. Okay. WebSocket, this is initiated by the Cortex XDR instance. Okay. Now, to understand this, let me take you to the whiteboard again. Just give me a moment. Where is the whiteboard? Yeah. So the two types of connections are, one is HTTPS, another one is WebSocket. Okay. Now, how this happens is, let's assume this is the agent, and one more box, we will have the XDR management console. Okay. So let's say this is the agent, XDR agent, agent, and this is XDR management console. Okay. Now, there are two types of communication as we saw in the whiteboard. Okay, one is HTTPS, another one is WebSocket. Okay, HTTPS is initiated by the agent, WebSocket is initiated by the instance. Okay, now when does the agent initiate the communication? Communication is whenever it needs to send any alerts. Okay, so let's say um, any incident, any attack happened, or any malicious file was opened on the agent side or the endpoint side. Okay, now that will be detected and that has to be sent as alert to the management console. Okay, so whenever any alert has to be sent, immediately it will generate the HTTPS request. So HTTPS request, okay, HTTPS request will happen, and HTTPS response. Okay, so via this, the agent is going to send the alert whenever any security event occurs. Okay, for this is used. Then whenever the heartbeat has to be performed. Okay, so whenever heartbeat has to be performed. Now this will happen every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, automatically the agent is going to perform the heartbeat, okay, and communicate with the management console. Okay, and via this one, whatever new policies or profiles have been configured, those will be pulled. So if anything new has been configured, those will be pulled by the agent from the management console. Okay, so every 5 minutes, heartbeat is initiated from the agent side to the management console, and whatever new configurations are there, those are taken by the agent side. Okay, then also every 5 minutes, it is going to send your enhanced endpoint data. Okay, so this also will happen every 5 minutes. Okay, so what is this enhanced endpoint data? Again, if it is a pro license, the agent is a pro license, it has pro license, it will send all the logs, whatever logs have been seen on the agent side, on the endpoint side, all the logs are collected and sent as enhanced endpoint data to the management console. Okay, so for all these things, that is sending the alert, that is in real time. As soon as the event occurs, it will be sent as alert. Then for sending or for performing the heartbeat, okay, every 5 minutes, to pull the profiles, policies, whatever changes have been made, to pull from the server it performs a heartbeat every 5 minutes. And also every 5 minutes, it is going to send the enhanced endpoint data, whatever logs are there from the agent to the management console. Okay. And this is done by the HTTPS. Okay. So whenever it has to send, it will establish a HTTPS connection. Okay. Now, another type of connection is nothing but your WebSocket connection. WebSocket connection. Now, this connection is initiated by the management console to the agent. Okay, this WebSocket is initiated by the management console to the agent. Okay, and this is a stateful connection. It's a live connection. Okay, now why this connection happens is if I want to perform any response from my management console to my agent side, for that, I will be using this WebSocket connection. Okay. For example, let's say I want to take a live terminal. I want to take a live terminal of the agent side. I will be doing that using the WebSocket. Okay. Or I want to isolate the endpoint. I want to immediately isolate the endpoint. I will do that using the WebSocket. Okay. For whatever actions I want to take from my management console on my agent side, I will be making use of the WebSocket, which is live, okay, which is stateful, always live, always enabled. Okay, so these are the two ways the agent and the management console are going to communicate. So one is HTTPS, another one is WebSocket. Okay, so that's what is explained here. So HTTPS based, so stateless connection initiated by the agent, instantaneous, periodic. Okay, WebSocket stateful connection, it is a live one initiated by the Cortex XDR instance. Okay. Now, keeping agents up to date, very important, right? So we need to make sure all the agents are always up to date. Okay. So it's a vital aspect of managing the security of all the endpoints. Okay. So platform specific upgrade methods. So what is the platform? Whether it is the Windows one or whether it is iOS, whether it is Mac OS, whether it is Android, Linux, make sure you identify them. So upgrading the XDR agent is made convenient by employing methods specific to each endpoint platform. Okay, and you need to do a streamlined monitoring. So monitor the upgrade status connective conveniently through the action center. So action center is where all the actions are there. And reboot considerations. So a reboot is not required. Okay, for any agent upgrade process, reboot need not be there. Automatically, it will be upgraded. Reboot is not required. Okay. Now you can also delete the agents in the Cortex XDR. Okay, let's say you have installed the agent. Okay, now I don't want that, I want to delete it, we can do that. Okay, so when you need to stop tracking an endpoint in the Cortex XDR management console, such as let's say whenever endpoint permanently disconnects. Okay, so endpoint is not at all communicating anymore, I am not bothered about it, I don't want to track it anymore, I can delete that agent. Okay, now how do I do that? Go to endpoints, all endpoints, whichever endpoint you don't want, do a right click, we'll get the option of endpoint control, then we'll get the option of delete endpoint. Okay, select delete endpoint, it'll ask you, okay, are you sure you want to delete? Click OK, you can delete it. For example, how do you do this? So when I go to the management console, I go to endpoints, so go to inventory, go to all endpoints. Okay, now let's say one of the endpoints I don't want, this one endpoint I don't want. What I'll do a right click on this. Okay, when I do a right click, I will get all these options. So when I go to endpoint control, all these options are there to control the endpoint. Okay, now if I give delete endpoint, it is going to delete that. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, so that is your delete endpoint. Or I want to uninstall the agent, whatever agent I installed on the agent side, I want to uninstall that. That also I can do. I have the option of uninstall agent. It will uninstall the agent on the agent side, on the endpoint side. Okay, so both these options are there. Yeah, so you can delete an endpoint, and deleting endpoints, so it is going to simplify the agent management with streamlined process for deleting Cortex XDR agents. Okay, so also the data is preserved. If you delete the license, you will get back. Okay, and it's going to maintain efficiency. So data preservation means data from the deleted endpoints, even if the endpoint is deleted, the data whatever we collected from the endpoint, that will be available. Okay, license reclamation, that is once you delete it, that license, whatever license was used for that endpoint, that will be released. Okay, and it is going to return to the free pool. So again, when the next time when you are again installing one more agent, for that agent, this license will be used. Okay. You have automated maintenance. Okay. Inactive agents are removed automatically. If they are inactive for a certain period of time, it will be automatically removed. Reinstating endpoints, let's say once one you delete, you want to reinstall that also is possible, but you need first uninstall the software on that agent on the endpoint and then reinstall again the agent. Okay. Delete actions, this is there in your Windows, Mac and Linux endpoints. Only in these platforms you have the delete actions, not on other your iOS, Android, it is not there. Okay. Whereas for these three platforms, the delete option is there. So, and you can uninstall, as I said. Okay. So uninstall the XDR agent swiftly and efficiently via the XDR management console. Again, do a right click, go to the endpoint, do a right click, endpoint control. You have the option of uninstall agent. So click OK, that agent will be uninstalled from the endpoint. Okay. Yeah. Then you have the option of creating tags. Now, what are tags or why tags are used is, it is nothing but a versatile approach to segment and manage the endpoints in your security ecosystem, right? So if let's say I have 10 endpoints in one branch office. Okay. In a branch office, I have 10 endpoints. I want to name them separately. So I can tag them. I can create tags for them. Okay. Now, how do we create tags? Let's say this is the endpoint. I'll do a right click. Okay. And again, endpoint control. I have the option of tags. Yeah. Assign endpoint tags. Okay. I can just add a name to it. So either I can go for any existing tags. So these are all the different tags already available, or I want to create a one more tag. Let's say branch office. Okay. So this is the tag I want to give. I will select that. Okay. Or I want to add one more tag. Let's say a new system, just some tag I'm creating. Okay. Create tag, and that tag will be also created. Okay. And when I save, this endpoint will be having these two tags. So when I save this, yeah, now when I scroll to the right, I think I will have a tags column. Yeah, you can see here. So branch office and one more tag is new system. That means this endpoint is having those two tags. Okay, these are the two tags associated with this endpoint. Now I can, if let's say I have multiple endpoints here, 100 of endpoints are there, only 10 endpoints I want to tag them, I can do that. Okay, now one very important, if you are not worked with your Cortex XDR, when you go to any page, let's say endpoint page or any page, you will have a filter option. Okay, you want to filter out something, you can filter out. Okay, by default, everything will be shown. Or I want to filter out. Now in this case, I want to filter out all the endpoints which are connected status. Okay, so either I can click on this filter. Okay, it will create a filter like this. It'll show me what I want to filter, or I have filter on each of the columns. Okay, when I can click on this filter, automatically it'll create a filter for endpoint status. Okay, and what are the different options? Let's say connected. I'll select connected, and I'll click somewhere. Anywhere I can click, automatically only the connected endpoints will be filtered out. Okay, or the same thing, I can do this from here by clicking on this filter. Okay. Now, what is the parameter I want to filter out? I want to filter out the endpoint status. So endpoint status is equal to connected. And again, click somewhere else. Automatically, the same filter is created. Okay. So any page, anywhere in XDR, this is how it will work. If I want to filter out something, just click on this filter symbol, filter out which parameter you want to filter out, populate that value, and you will be filtering it out. Okay. And also, what are the different columns you want to view? So here, these are all the different columns: endpoint type, endpoint name, endpoint status, operating system, agent first. These are all the different columns. Okay. Now, which are all columns are already available? If you want to view that, okay, you can click on this table settings menu. So click on it, and it is going to show you all the in view columns. So in view means these are all the columns which are already there. Okay. What are not there is, when I zoom out little, so these are the add columns. These are all the columns which are not yet added here. Okay. Any of these columns I want to add, I want to view it here. Just click on it, this plus symbol, it will automatically add it in the in view columns. Okay. And also here the order you want to change. Let's say, for example, you want to view the agent version the first. Okay, so here the agent version, yes, you want to have the agent version on the first point. Just drag, just click on this. Where is where is agent version? Agent version. Just click on this and scroll it to the top. It'll come to the top. Has it come? Oh, agent version is here. I'll scroll it from here to here. Yeah. Now you can see agent version has come from the front. Okay. So how you want to order? You can just scroll these things, drag and drop whichever column you want to have in the beginning or whichever column you want later. You can just play with all these columns. Okay. So pretty basic things. Yeah, so I want to view all the collected ones. Yeah, so that's about endpoint tags, right? So just to visually understand or visually tag them with something, I can use the endpoint tags. Okay. Now I have one more option of creating groups, endpoint groups. Okay. Now what are these groups? Again, let's assume I want to push some profiles, push some policies to endpoints. Okay. What I have to do, I have to do it to individual endpoints one by one. Okay. Instead of that, I can create a group of endpoints. Okay. Now there are two types of groups. One is static group, another one is dynamic group. Now, how do I create this group? Again, go to endpoints. You have the groups option. Click on add group. Okay. Click on create new. Okay. Now I need to mention what is the name of the group. For example, let's say I will use demo. First, I'll show you static group. Okay, how a static group is created. So give a name, give a description. Okay, then I have to filter out the endpoints. Okay, which endpoints I want to add in the group. So all the endpoints are listed down. Let me again zoom out a little more. Yeah, all the endpoints are listed down here. Okay, now by default, it will say create a dynamic group. I have not selected anything, nothing, no filter has been created, nothing. Okay, and by default it says a create a dynamic group. Okay, now let's assume I am creating a filter. Okay, if I create a filter of what should I do, using endpoint names. Okay, whatever endpoints have 3 2 in their name. Okay, or let's say xim, I'll type xim, xim, whatever. Let me zoom in if you are able to view it properly. Yeah, this is the filter I'm creating. If the endpoint name has XIM in that, those endpoints alone I want to filter. So now you can see all the endpoints which have is just having this XIM name. Those are all filtered out. Okay, and I have created a filter. Now when I click on this create, it says automatically says create dynamic group. Let me again zoom in. Yeah, you can see create dynamic group. Okay, that means this is a dynamic group. In future also, if I create a new endpoint, there comes a new endpoint which has XIM name in that, it will automatically fall into this group. Okay, it's a dynamic group. Okay, now when do we use static group is whenever we are manually selecting the endpoints. For example, let's say I want to select only this pro ones. Okay, I will manually select it here. I will select the options here. It automatically becomes a static group. You can see create static group. That means I am selecting, I am enabling these options. Some other options, let's say this also I will select. Okay, I am selecting it. That means automatically it will become a static group. Okay, so manually when I select, it's a static group, or when I go only with the filter, it becomes a dynamic group. Okay, now when I click on the static, only these whatever I selected, though only those endpoints will be added into the group. Okay, now later also any new endpoint has this name, it will not come automatically into this group. Manually I need to come and add it into this group. Okay, so those are static group and dynamic group. So I hope you get the point. Yeah. Okay, so endpoint tags. So tags provide versatility in the segmentation and management of endpoints in your security ecosystem, right? So you know how to create the tags. So go to all endpoints, do a right click, endpoint control. You have the option of where is it? Assign tags, assign endpoint tags. Yeah, assign endpoint tags, and you can add the tags. Okay. Then comes your agent tokens. Now this is very important, right? Now, when do we use agent tokens? So as we know, when we are working on the agent side, okay, on the agent side, and when I'm working using site tool, okay, for that, for many operations, I require the supervisor password. Okay, supervisor, or you can say the uninstall password. Okay, so either the supervisor password is required or the uninstall password is required. Yes, because working on the site tool. Now that supervisor password, I don't want to give it to anyone. Okay, so there are few administrators. Let's say one administrator is there who should work on the agent side only for 5 days. Okay, after that, that person should not work. Okay, and for these 5 days, I don't want to let's say give the supervisor password to him. Okay, because it is a constant one. I don't want to give that to him. So what I can do, I can create tokens. Okay, I can create tokens and make use of these tokens only for 5 days. Let's say I will give the expiry date of these tokens as 5 days. After 5 days, the token will not be useful, and the administrator to whomever I'm giving the token to, they will not be able to use that. Okay, for 5 days, the administrator will be able to use the tokens. Okay, for whatever operations you want to perform on the site tool on the agent side, they can do for 5 days. After that, it will get expired and they will not have the password anymore. That password will not work anymore. Okay, so token serves as a keys that enable the execution of critical agent functions, allowing administrative control over specific endpoints. Okay, now how do I generate this token? Again, I need to go to endpoints, go to all endpoints. Let's say for this endpoint, I want one of the administrators to work for 5 days. Okay, so what I'll do a right click, endpoint control. Okay, and no, sorry. Yeah, I have the option of set temporary token. Okay, so I'll click on this set this temporary token. How many days, for how many days I want to have this token active? Let's say I want this active for 5 days. Okay, so once I add this, it'll automatically create a password like this or a token like this. Okay, so copy paste this, give it to the administrator, whoever wants to access the agent, give this password, and they will be able to access the endpoint, that is this endpoint, for 5 days using this password. After 5 days, automatically this password will be expired. Okay, then after that, they will not be able to access it. Okay, just for temporary purpose, you want any administrator to access, create the token value. Okay, then you have the option of generating and retrieving support file. That is, if you are facing any issues, okay, with the agent communication and you want to talk to the support team, what they will ask? They will ask for the tech support file. Okay, now if I want to retrieve this, the retrieval of tech support file is a crucial process in managing tech support files, okay, which is generated in zip format, protected by a encrypted password. Okay, now how do I get this tech support file? Again, pretty simple. Do a right click, endpoint control, you will get the option of retrieve support file. Select this, click OK, and the file will be retrieved. Okay, the support file will be retrieved. That you can go and check in your action center. Okay, so on your endpoints, do a right click and endpoint control, and you have the option of retrieve support file. Okay, click on this and your support file will be downloaded. Okay, now more on this, how to check the encrypted password or create a password or to encrypt the password. What is the process? We'll talk in module number 6. Okay, on day 3 we'll discuss about this more in detail. Okay, next is your endpoint groups. We already saw this. So creating static group and dynamic group. So conveniently manage and apply policy rules to specific endpoints using the groups. Okay, so for many multiple endpoints you want to push the policies or profiles, you can first create the group and then together you can push the policy rules. Okay, now how do you do that? So go to endpoint groups, you can add a group, click on add a group. Then if you're just creating a filter, it'll automatically create a dynamic group. Okay, so dynamic groups are automatically updated collections of entities, okay, based on devices, endpoints, users, whatever it is, that are grouped based on specific predefined criteria or rules. So you need to give the criteria here. If you configure the criteria, that's all. you'll be able to create a dynamic group. Okay. Or when you manually select like this, okay, manually when you select like this, we will be able to create a static group. So static groups are manually selected endpoints to be included in the group. Okay. Yeah. Next comes your profiles, right? So we saw all the endpoint things. Next is about the profiles, right? So what did we discuss? What did we discuss on the whiteboard? So how is the management done? So we are going to configure these profiles, okay, put them into policies and push the policies to the endpoints. Okay. Now these are all the 5 profiles: agent settings, malware, exploit prediction, restrictions, and exceptions. Okay. Now we'll see how to configure these profiles. So out of the box protection for your endpoints using default profiles. Okay. Now if I have, no, the first time I added the agent. Okay. Now here I installed the agent, right? For this this endpoint, I did not create any profile. I did not create any policy rule, but still it is getting the protection. How? Due to your default profiles. Okay. Now default profiles, default policy are automatically pulled. Even if I'm not configuring any policy, any profile, whatever defaults are there, they will be automatically pulled and added to this endpoint, added to this agent software. Okay, so you have some default profiles as well, or you want to configure your own profiles and policies, that also you can do. Okay, now what are the 2 types? So malware, exploit, agent settings, restrictions, and exceptions. So we can customize our own profiles, reuse settings across endpoint groups for consistent protection. Okay, so same profile, we can send it to multiple endpoints. Now we'll explore what are all these profiles. So malware, exploit, agent settings, restrictions, and exceptions. Okay. So first is your malware protection. Now malware protection is nothing but we discussed on the first module, right? About how the malware protection modules are protecting our endpoint from all the malwares. Okay. So malware protection modules. Now how do we create these profiles? So when I go to the console, so first we need to go to endpoints. That, let me zoom in a little more. Yeah, go to endpoints and then I have the policy management. So go to policy management. Then under prevention, I have policy rules and profiles. So first is to configure the profiles. Okay, first profiles, then we will bind those profiles in the policy rule and then the policy rule will be pushed to the endpoints. Okay, first I'll go and create the profiles. So when you go to profiles, you can see multiple profiles are available here. Okay. And for all the types, okay, for Windows, let's say Windows platform, and for Windows platform, all the profiles will have a default profile. Okay. Now default, when I say you will have a default agent settings profile. So when I scroll down, just give me a moment. Yeah, so when I scroll down, you will be able to see a default agent settings profile. Okay. So when I keep scrolling, you can see the agent settings profile, you have a default profile. Exceptions, you have a default profile. Exploit, default profile. Malware, default profile. Restrictions, also default profile. Okay, so all the profile types will have a default ones. Okay, now if to my endpoint I have not yet configured any profile and I have not yet pushed it, these default profiles only will be received by my agent. Okay, till you customize your own profiles, till then it will automatically send the default profiles via the default policy rule. Okay, so those are your default profiles. Now if I want to modify these default profiles, I can do that. I cannot modify this. I can save it as a new one, okay, and modify the new one. Okay, these 5 profiles I cannot touch. Whatever default profiles are there, where are those? Whatever default profiles are there, I cannot touch them. I can create a copy of them and I can modify the copy. Okay, but these will remain as such. I can, if I want to view what are the profiles, what is the configuration in this, I can view. For example, let's say I want to view the default Marvel profile. I'll just do a right click and I will say view profile. So click on view profile. I will be able to view what are the different configurations done in this profile. Okay. So similarly, I want to view all other profiles, I can view. Okay. Or I want to create a brand new profile. I can do that as well. Now, how do we create a brand new profile? On the top right, click on add profile, create new. It'll ask me, okay, on which platform, for which platform I have to create the profile. Now, why my endpoint is a Windows endpoint. There's a Windows endpoint. Okay. So I will go and select the Windows platform. Okay. What is the profile which I'm going to create? Whether it's a malware protection profile or exploit or agent settings or restrictions or exceptions. Which profile I need to create? Let's say first we'll create a malware profile. Okay. So select malware. Select malware and select next. Here is where I need to configure the malware profile. Okay. So we'll give a name for this. Let's say malware. And what is my student ID? My student ID is 32200, right? 322 Okay, so I'll create a malware profile with my name. Okay, what is the type? It's a malware profile. Okay, and what is the platform? It's a Windows platform. So that is good. Okay, then comes all my protection modules. So first, file examination. That is your pre-processing, right? If you remember in your malware protection, you had pre-execution and then post-execution. So these are all the pre-execution modules, right? So under my portable executions and DLL examination, what should be done if any malware is identified? Okay. Now here, all your default actions are already defined here. Okay, for example, here the default action is block. Hey, if you view any malware, you block it under portable executables and DLL examination. Okay, so your default action is block. Now I can leave it as such, whatever default action is defined by Palo Alto, I can leave it as such, or I want to make any changes to the default action. I need to uncheck this box and I need to give my own action. Whether I need to give block or report means you don't block it. If the malware is identified, let it run. You don't block it, but just create an alert. You generate the alert, send it to my management console. That's all. You don't block it. That is your report option. Okay. If I disable this, it will allow it to run. If the malware is even if the malware is identified, it will allow it to run. Okay. So you can select the action, whatever action you want. Default, it is block only. Okay. Then what are the different actions you want to take? Whether you want to quarantine it. Okay. Any malicious file is seen, whether you want to quarantine it, you can quarantine. By default, it is disabled. But if you want to quarantine, you can quarantine. So quarantine wildfire malware verdict. If the wildfire says malware, you quarantine that. Okay. Or you quarantine wildfire and local analysis malware verdict. If both wildfire says malware and the local analysis also says malware, you definitely quarantine it. Okay. Then whether you want to run local analysis or not, you can select. Okay. So when do you want to run local analysis? When the file is unknown to wildfire, you run local analysis. Okay. Or you don't want to run local analysis, you can block it or allow it. Okay. Depending on your requirement, you can select the action. Okay. Then if when the wildfire verdict is low confidence, that is even wildfire is not sure, it is saying low confidence, what is that you want to do? Whether you want to do run local analysis or not, you can configure it. Okay. So like this, multiple actions are there, or for multiple options, multiple things where you're going to enable your protection modules. What is the action you want to take? You have all these options. So you have default actions, whatever actions is defined by Palo Alto, you want to take the same, you want to follow the same, or you want to give your own action, that also you can do. Okay. Now these are all your pre-execution analysis. So uh, portable executables and DLL examination. Okay. So Office files with macros examination, then your PowerShell script files. Okay. Then your on-write file examination, ASPX files, on-demand file examination, VB scripts examination. All these options are there where if you identify the malicious content, malware file, what is the action you want to take? Then comes your threat and malware protection. Okay. So under that you have global BPT rule, global behavioral threat protection rules. What is the action you want to take? All these things you can check. Okay. So more than 14 modules are there. And for all those modules, you will have the actions as well. Okay. What if the malware is identified? What is the action you want to take? Configure your profile. Each one you can select. If you want to leave it the one to be, leave it as such, or you want to modify the action, you can modify it. Okay. Once you have configured everything, then just click on create button and your profile will be ready. This is my profile. Malware. Let's type is malware. Yeah, I'll select malware. Malware. Where is my pod? 31220, right? This is my malware profile. Okay, so this is what I created just now. Okay, so malware profile is ready. Now I want to configure the next profile. What is the next profile? Let's say I want to configure the exploit prediction. Again, for Windows platform, I want to configure the exploit prediction. So I select exploit, click on next. Now again, give a name. Let's say this is exploit, and my number is 32200. Okay, then what is the type? Profile, the exploit. What is the platform? It is your Windows platform. Okay, then here you have all these options, your exploit protections, right? So your exploitation techniques, whenever any exploitation is identified, what is action to be taken? So browser exploit protection. If exploits are identified, you block it. Okay, then logical exploits, you block it. Okay, then vulnerable process protection, if any exploit is identified, you block it. Okay, like this, all these options are available. Okay, what you want to do, whether you want to block it or you want to allow it, whether you just want to report it, you can select the action. Once it is done, create. Your exploit prediction profile is ready. Okay, then similarly, you want to configure the next profile, which is your agent settings. So create new. Now this time I want to configure agent settings profile. So select agent settings. Okay, now this is very important, because this based on your agent settings profile is how your agents will work. Okay, now let me give the name agent settings and the number is 32200. Okay, give a name for the profile. The type is agent settings, the platform is window. If you have a description, give a description. Okay, then you have the security policy settings. Okay, so you can configure the security policy settings. You have the disk space, how much space you want to allow for the XDR agent logs. Then you have the user interface, whether on your endpoint side, whether I should be able to view this or not. Okay, so these are all the, so whether the tray icon should be available or not. The console access tray icon means this one, whether this should be available here or not, whether the console should be visible or not. So enable, by default it is enabled, but you don't want, let's say you don't want the endpoint user to view this console. So the endpoint should not be able to view this. Then you can disable this. So XDR agent console access, you can disable it. They will not be able to view it. Okay, then the notifications, if they should get the notifications or not, that the live terminal notifications, all these things you can enable and disable. Okay, then comes your agent security. Yeah, that is, you can say, so you have the tampering protection. So you don't want on the endpoint side to tamper anything, your software. You don't want the endpoint users to tamper the software, the service, process, anything should not be tampered with. All these options are there. Okay, then comes your uninstall password. Now this is nothing but your supervisor password. Okay, now global password, we know where to configure it, right? So go to settings, go to configurations. There under agent configurations, you have the global password, global supervisor password. Okay, now here, this is for your agent. Okay, specifically for that agent, you can configure the password here. This password will be used for that specific agent. Okay, so this, if you configure this one, this will supersede the password which is set in the global password. Okay, so this will be having the more higher precedence, and this only will be followed on the agent side. Okay, now all of us will be having each individual agent. Okay, and if you want to create an agent password for your agent that is on the endpoint, you can come and configure your agent settings profile, configure the password, push this profile into your endpoint. Okay, so you have the uninstall password here. This is a value configured, and then other than that, you have all these options. Okay, and one very important one is your pro endpoints. Okay, now you may have a pro license. Okay, so you have a prevent license and then you have pro license. Prevent license, it will do the basic prevention detection. Okay, if you have a pro license, lot of extra features are there. Let's assume we have got the pro license. Okay, and we are installing the agent on the endpoints. Even by that, even though we have the license, we have installed the agent, it will not act as a pro agent. We have to enable that. Okay, so how that is enabled? By configuring the agent settings profile, configuring the pro endpoints, where see, you can see by default it is disabled. Okay, I need to enable this. Make sure you enable it. Enable it. Now push this configuration, push this profile to the endpoint. Only then it will act as a pro endpoint. Okay, so just getting the license is not enough. Make sure you configure your agent settings profile and configure this as enabled, and then push this profile onto the endpoint. Okay, so enable this, and also whatever other add-ons you have got. So let's say you have got so this enhanced endpoint data, that is enabled. Okay, so if you enable this is enabled. Then if you want to have vulnerabilities, okay, you need to enable this. Then you want to go for add-on features. Let's say you want to have forensics. Okay, so forensics, where is the forensics option? Forensics, this is vulnerabilities and host insight. Okay, so that is enabled. Enhanced endpoint data. Okay, forensics feature. You have the monitor and collect forensics data. Okay, if I want to enable this one, that also I can enable. Okay, if you have a forensics license. Okay, now forensics, we will know about that vulnerability, about that in your analyst program, analyst course. We'll talk about this vulnerabilities and forensics traffic. Okay, so yeah, but if you have the license, you need to manually come and enable these options in your agent settings profile. Okay, and then other than that, similarly, lots of other options are there. So you can configure all these options for your agent settings. Okay, so once it is done, create the profile. So that profile is also ready. Okay. Next option, next profile is restrictions profile. Okay. So I can click on create new for Windows. What is the profile? I want to configure the restrictions profile. So select restrictions, click next. Okay. Now what do restrictions do? It is going to restrict the attack surface. So restrict 32200. Yeah. So I'm creating a restrictions profile, give a name, what is the type, what is the platform. Okay. Now this restrictions profile is going to restrict the attack surface in our endpoint. Okay. Now I don't want any files, executable files to run. Okay. Which executable files I don't want to run, I can mention them here. Okay. Then any network location, any locations I have, I don't want them to run, I can configure that. Any removable media files, okay, I don't want to enable, I don't want them to run, I can enable. So optical file drives, right? So in custom prevention rules, we'll see later. But any of these things I want to restrict. Okay, I don't want to be, I don't want on the agent side to run these, I can restrict all these things. Okay, and once your restrictions profile is ready, click on create, your profile will be created. Finally, your exceptions profile. Okay. Now, exceptions profile, you just need to create the profile here. Whatever things you want to add, you will add it separate. Okay. So you go to restrictions, exceptions. So you have the exceptions profile, select it, click on next and give a name. So let's say exception 32200. Okay. This is my file. Okay. This is my profile name. Sorry. The type is exceptions, platform is Windows. Okay. Configure this, and all these exceptions, I don't have to add it here. Now, exceptions means I don't want the protection. Okay. Let's assume I have a specific application in my office. Okay. And for that application, I know very well that it is very safe. It is not having any malicious content. Okay. No problem with that. I know that. Okay. But let's assume the Cortex is identifying it as a malware, or it is not allowing it to process. Okay. Now what I can do, I need to create an exception for that, saying that, hey, this is my application. you don't implement, I'm saying to the agent, you don't implement your malware protection module and exploit protection module in my process. Let it run peacefully. Okay. That are nothing but exceptions. Okay. Now exceptions, these exceptions, what are exceptions are there? This has to be added separately and then be combined with your exceptions profile. Okay. So here just create the profile and keep it. You will create and add the exceptions later. Okay, so just create the profile as of now. So create, and yeah, that profile is also created. Now, how do we configure the exceptions? We'll talk about it on day 3. Okay, on Wednesday we'll talk more about exceptions as well as exclusions as well. Okay, now my profiles are ready. Okay, now name, if you see 32200. Yeah, if you see what happened, 32200. Yeah. So these are all the profiles created. Okay, select all. Yeah. So my agent settings profile is ready, exceptions profile is ready, exploit is ready, malware is ready, and restrictions profile are ready. So all my profiles are ready now. Okay. Now what is the next step? So we know we have to configure the profiles, bind it to the policies, and from policy I want to push it to the agent side. Okay. So next is to configure the policy rules. Now how do I configure the policy? Again, go to endpoints, policy management. You have the policy rules here. I need to go and create a policy rule. Okay. So add the policy rule, create new. Okay. So I need to give a name. Let's say I give policy, and what is my endpoint name? 32200. Okay. What is the platform? It is my Windows platform. So I like select Windows. Okay. Then if I have a description, I need to mention the description. Then I have to add the profiles. Okay. What are all the different profiles? I need to bind to this policy rule. I need to bind it here, add it here. Okay. If I'm not adding anything by default, it will add a default profiles. Okay. Or no, I want to mention the specific one. Where is my exploit 32200, malware 32200, restrictions 32200, agent settings 32200, yes, and exceptions also 32200. Okay, so these are the profiles I want to bind it to this policy. If it is done, click on next. Then it will ask me, okay, to which endpoint should these be sent to? Okay, to which endpoint? Now I want to be sent it to, now what is this filter? I want to filter out all the connected ones. Endpoint status. Connected. Okay. Now I want to send, this is my endpoint 32200. Okay. I want to push it to this endpoint. So I will select this one. Okay. Let's assume I want to select to multiple. I can select multiple, but here in this case, I want to send it to only this one. Okay. So select the endpoint. Then click on next. It'll give me the summary that, hey, this is the policy you are creating. And these are the profiles which I'm going to push it to the endpoints. Okay, click on done. Done, and make sure you save it. Only if you save it, it will be pushed to the endpoints. So click on save and it will be pushed to the endpoints. Now it is not going to be pushed immediately. Okay, why? Because we know every 5 minutes only you have the heartbeat. So whenever the heartbeat happens, only then the agent will pull the configurations from my management console. Now I have configured the profiles here. Okay, profiles, profile is ready. The policy is also ready. The policy is also ready, but still it will not be pushed. When it will be pushed is when the agent does a heartbeat, it will check, do I have any profiles and policies for me configured? If yes, immediately it will pull it to the agent side. Okay, so you have to wait for 5 minutes, or you don't want to wait for 5 minutes. You can go to the endpoint, okay, and perform a check-in here. Okay, so you can do a check-in. If you do a check-in manually, automatically it will be pulled. Or one more option from the console, what you can do is you can go to all the endpoints, okay, and whichever endpoint should receive the things, do a right click, endpoint control, and you have the perform heartbeat option. Okay, so from here also you can perform a heartbeat. Okay, so click OK and it'll perform a heartbeat. Okay, and then whatever profiles, whatever policies, new things have been configured in your management console will now be pushed to the endpoint side. Okay, so yeah, so that's about configuring your profiles and policy rules. So let's quickly review this in the slide deck. So first is your malware profile. So all these protection modules are there. If you want to give the default action, leave it to this one, or you want to configure your own actions, you can uncheck it and select the actions. Okay. So malware security profiles, it will allow you to configure the action the Cortex XDR agent takes when known malware and unknown files try to run. Okay. Then exploit prediction. So it will allow you to configure how the Cortex XDR agent responds to exploit attempts, protecting against threats like exploit kits, unauthorized code execution. All these are protected by your exploit profiles. Okay. Then agent settings profile. It will allow you to configure and manage agent behavior. Okay. Across various platforms and user groups, ensuring that each environment has the appropriate setting for security, performance, and experience. Okay, so you can configure your agent settings profile here. Then restrictions will limit the attack surface. Okay, on Windows endpoints by controlling file execution locations and behaviors. And the last one is exceptions. So this will enable you to create tailored exemptions. So for any process or any files you don't want the protection, then you can configure the exceptions profile, right? So for specific endpoints or even global exceptions we can create. Now more on expressions we'll see on day 3. Okay, allowing flexibility in managing security policy rules without compromising the protection. Okay, yeah. So that's about agents. Okay. The next part is collectors. Now, what are collectors? Now, as I said, let's assume I have 100 endpoints in my office. There are 100 endpoints. Okay. Now, I have the agent only for 75 endpoints. I have got the license only for 75 endpoints. So I have installed the agent in 75 endpoints. Well and good. Okay. Now I have 25 more endpoints in my office for which I don't have the agent software. Okay. Now what do? I still want, let's say this is the management console. Okay. I still want the logs. So if you have installed the agent, by default, all the logs from the agent are sent to my management console. Okay. By default, whatever logs are there, everything is identified here, sent to the management console. Okay. Now, what about these 25 endpoints? Let's assume I want the logs from these 25 endpoints as well. But I don't have the agent. Okay. But I want the logs. For that purpose, we can enable the collectors. So we can install the collector software in these endpoints. And once we have installed, we can get the logs from these collectors into my management console. Okay. Now this collectors is only applicable for my Windows or my Linux systems. If the endpoints are of Windows platform or Linux platform, only then it will support. Okay. Not for your Mac, iOS, Android. No. Okay, only for your Windows and Linux platform, these collectors are supported. Okay, now I have to define the profile. What type of logs I want to push from my endpoint to my management console. I need to configure that. Okay, but I hope you get the idea about what collectors are. So if I want any special type of logs from any of the endpoints, I can install the collectors, configure it to forward the logs to my management console. Okay. Yeah. So XDR collectors serve as a centralized solution for collecting and processing data on premises. Okay. And specifically only for your Windows and Linux environments. So what this will do, this will ensure seamless ingestion and processing of logs and events from diverse sources. Okay. So what are the key features? It also has a specialized installer, similar to your agent installer. What we did for agents, we need to create the package, install the package on the endpoints. Here also similarly, we need to create a package, install the package on the endpoints from wherever we need the logs. Okay. So efficient handling of logs, comprehensive visibility, and it will improve the detection. So since we are getting logs from multiple sources, again, it is going to only improve the detection. Okay. So what are the benefits? Enhances or enables centralized analysis, threat detection, and investigation. Okay. Now for this collectors to be enabled, what is the requirement? Okay, so XDR collector supports only Linux and Windows, not Mac OS, iOS, or Android. No, it is not there. So only Linux and Windows operating system, and it should have some specific hardware and software requirements. Okay, now what are those specific hardware and software requirements? You need to go and check the documentation. There it will be mentioned what are the requirements for your collector to be installed. Okay, so regardless of whether XDR collector is installed on a Windows or Linux operating system, the collector will require a Pro per GB license. Okay, now Pro per GB license, that means you want more storage, right? So since you are collecting logs separately, obviously you will require more storage, and hence you need to go for this Pro per GB license. GB means how much storage you want in the Cortex data lake. Okay, so that is depending on your requirement. How much is your requirement? How much logs you are ingesting? You need to identify that. Okay, and if you want to know how much space requirement you want, storage requirement you want, you have a calculator. Okay, Cortex calculator. I think it is there in the Palo Alto Networks website. You can go and check how much storage you want. But yeah, you need a proper GB license if you want to install the collectors. And then what are the other requirements? So if you want your collectors to work, okay, what are the other requirements? So you have few port requirements, okay, so port requirements, and then FQDN, and then key regions and resource access. Okay, now port means you need to make sure that port 443 is open. Okay, only via that it will be sending the logs. So from your collector to your that is your management console, only via port 443 it's going to send the logs. So you need to make sure that port 443 is open. Okay, so this is the primary channel. Okay, so that the secure communication happens and the traffic is sent via this secure communication. Okay, then your FQDN. Now, what is your Cortex XDR FQDN? So you need to go for HTTPS over your tenant name. Let's say my tenant is ABCD. Okay, dot XDR dot region. What is my region? Let's say Europe. So EU dot paloaltonetworks.com. Palo Alto networks.com. Okay, so you need to make sure you are able to send the traffic to this URL. Okay, so this has to be again allowed. Okay, only then the collector will be able to forward the logs to your management console. Okay, that you need to make sure. And then also key regions and resource addresses, right? So resource access. So you need to make sure your collector, that is the endpoint, has access to specific Google Cloud IP ranges. Okay, only then you will be able to download the installers, and you will be seeing updates. All your content updates for your XDR collector should be received. Okay, so make sure all these specific addresses are allowed. Key regions and specific addresses are allowed. Okay, so yeah, these are few requirements for your XDR collector to work properly. And these are the installation paths where the folders are created. Okay, so when you say Windows, okay, so installation, this path, logs are stored in this one, configuration this one, persistent, all the databases stored in this folder. Okay, similarly Linux also, these are the folders. Okay, where the installation, all these things are happening. Then your purpose, right? Now, what is the purpose? To monitor activities and events for transparency and accountability. So what is happening on those endpoints? Just to understand that. Okay, retention is, it is securely stored for 365 days for extended analysis. So whatever logs are being collected, they are stored for 365 days by default. Okay, now where do we go and check about what are all the different logs that are collected or not? We need to go to settings. Okay, in settings you have XDR collector audit logs. Click on collector audit logs, and whatever collectors have been collecting logs, they will be available here. So when I go to settings in my XDR console, so go to settings, and there you have XDR collected audit logs. So go to this one, and whatever logs have been collected, they will be updated here in this page. Okay, so whatever the logs collected, they will be updated here. Okay, yeah. Now how do we install this? Okay, how do you install this? We'll talk about that. So very similar to what we did for your agents. Okay, so for this also we need to configure the installation package. Now where do we configure the installation package? Go to settings. Okay, go to settings under configurations. Let me zoom in a little. Yeah, under configurations, we need to go for XDR collectors. Where is it? On the top. XDR collectors. We have the option of XDR collectors here. Okay. The first thing we need to configure, or we need to create the installation package. Okay. So go to installers. So go to installers, and here's where we need to create the installation package. Similar, very similar how we did for agent. Okay. So click on create and give a name. Let's say Windows. What is my endpoint? 32200. Okay. Then what is the platform? Windows platform. Okay, so I want to do it for the Windows platform. Then what is the version? Again, select the most recent version, most latest version. Select that. Okay, platform is Windows. Create it. Okay, now it will be created. Again, it is showing in progress as of now. After a few seconds, it will be completed. Yeah, it is completed. Okay, now let's assume this is my endpoint. Okay, and from where I want to collect the logs. Okay, now it will not be necessary for this because I already have the agent. Okay, and agent will again by default collect all the logs, but just for understanding purpose. Okay, let's assume this is the endpoint where I want to install the collector software. Okay, and collect all my logs. So what I'll do, I'll download this one and download this. Okay, once it is downloaded, yeah, it is downloaded, right? Now let me open this. Where is it? This one. Okay, and I will run this. It is completed, right? Okay, this is downloaded. Okay, now I'll just run it on my endpoint. Okay, so next, yes, I accept. Next, install. That's all. Now that collector software will be installed on my endpoint. Let it complete. Yeah, finish. That is done. Okay, now how I can check whether it is connected or not? Again, when I go to my management console, there I need to go to administration, I think, and I can see if it is connected or not. Okay, now let me clear the filter. I want to see who are all connected. Please give the connected options. Yeah, so 32200, that is my host name, right? So yes, it is connected. So the collector I installed on my endpoint is now connected to my management console. Okay. Now it has to start collecting the logs. Okay. But how will the collector know which logs to be collected? Okay. For that, again, I need to create the profile, add it into the policy rule, and push the policy rule to my endpoint. Okay. Now, where do I create the profiles for this? About which type of logs to be collected? I need to go to the profile section. So under XDR collectors, I have the profiles. Okay. Now here it supports two types of protocols. One is file beat, another one is winlog beat. Okay. Now winlog beat, file beat, both are supported in your Windows platform. Whereas in your Linux platform, only file beat is there. Only file beat is supported, winlog beat is not supported. Okay. Now, how I need to create the profile? So just click on add profile. So if you see Windows, both are supported, file beat as well as winlog beat. Linux only file beat, no winlog beat. Okay. Now here my platform is Windows. So I'll go for Windows. Okay. Let's say first I'll select file beat. Okay. Select the protocol, click next. I need to give a name for this. So I will give, let's say, file beat. uh, 32200. Okay, what is the platform? Windows. Then what is the description? If you have any description, you can give the description. Okay, now here we have some predefined templates about what are the logs to be collected. For example, let's say I am using this endpoint like a DHCP server. Okay, and I want to collect all the DHCP logs. So I can configure that here. So you have the template here. Okay, so just drop down and I have already all these templates, pre-existing templates are there. So I can select one of the templates. Let's say I want to collect all the DHCP logs. Okay, I will select DHCP. Okay, once I select DHCP, click on add, automatically the YAML file is created here. Okay, and this YAML file will have the location as well, the folder as well. So where the logs are there, you can see here the path is automatically populated. Okay, so it needs to go to this path, collect the logs, send it to my Cortex XDR. Okay, so these are all predefined ones. Okay, so I can add multiple types. Let's say I'll zoom out a little. Yeah, so I want to add any other template, I can do that. So let's say I want to go for some other template, I can do that. Okay, or I want to add my own YAML file, my own script, that also I can do. Okay, so once this is done, click on create, and my file beat will be generated. File beat, where is it? File beat 32200. Oh, so many are there. 32200 is created. Okay, another one, let's say I want to create a winlog beat, that also I can use. So go to Windows, go to winlog beat, select winlog beat. That protocol also supports, but only in your Windows. For Linux, winlog beat is not there. Okay, so click on next, give a name, let's say winlog, and that is 32200. The platform is Windows. You want to give a description, you can mention the description. Okay, and then you can configure your YAML file. So now here it is Windows security. Yeah, select Windows security, which is already predefined. Okay, once you select it, click on add, automatically the YAML file is created. Now again, when I zoom in, so you can see here, all these are your event IDs. Your Windows event IDs are populated here. That means what are all the logs to be collected from my endpoint have been defined here itself. Okay, now you want to configure your own template, you can do that. So you can use ChatGPT to configure your own templates and add it here, and the collector will go and collect those logs. So once the YAML file is created, click on create. Your winlog bit profile is also created now. Okay, now profiles are ready. Now how do I push these profiles to my collector? Through policy rules again. So where do I have the policies? Again, under XDR collectors, you have policies. So go to policies and add the policy. So let's say add, I want to give a collector, and my endpoint is 32200. Okay, now I need to define what is the platform. The platform is Windows. Then I need to add which protocols I have configured. So I have configured file beat and I have configured winlog beat. So this is 32200, yes, and winlog beat also 32200. Where is it? Winlog beat 32200. Okay, collector settings, let it be default settings. Okay, or I want to configure the settings, that also I can do. Okay, now these are the protocols. Now once the profiles are added to the policy, click on next. Okay, it'll ask me, okay, on which collector should I push this policy? So I wanted to push it to which endpoint? My 32200. On this endpoint, I need to push it. Okay, so select this one and click on next. It'll give you the summary of whatever I have configured. Click on done, and also again make sure a different user is already updating the policies. Oh, somebody else is configuring it, it seems. Who's configuring it, guys? Okay, let me add it again. No, the name is collector 32200. platform is Windows, and I will add the file beat. I will add the winlog beat. Yeah. Next, I will add the endpoint. Done. Save. It is now saved. Okay. Now, once the policy is saved, where is the policy? Character 32200. Okay. It is now created. Now, whatever profiles I have configured will be pushed to the endpoint. Whatever collection protocols I have configured in my profile, based on that, the collector will now collect the logs from the endpoint and then send it to my Cortex XDR management console. Okay, so that's how you configure your collectors. So first we need to create the installer, download the installer, install it on the endpoints, create the profiles, add the policy rule, push the policy rule. Okay, so configuration, you want to configure, you can configure your collectors here. Okay, and administration, just to check whether it is connected or not. So your endpoint is connected or not. You want to create groups here, that also you can create collector groups. Yeah, so that multiple collectors, you want to push any common things, that also you can do. Okay, so that's how your collectors are going to work, and I guess that's about it. So XDR collectors administration page is your central hub for managing collectors. Okay, so you need to go to settings and then you will have the collectors, XDR collectors option here. Okay, so you can rename the collectors for easy identification, ensuring they are running the latest version, and set up proxy configurations as required. Okay, so access the XDR collectors page, view and manage the collectors. Then your installation, we saw how to install it. So go to installation, installers, and click on create, create the package, download it. Once it is ready, download the 64-bit installer. Okay. Then you can download the US MSI file. Okay. Then install it on the endpoint side, accept the licenses, verify the collector connection to XDR. So check in the administrator whether it is connected or not. Then for your Linux, again, how to install the collector, it is mentioned here. Then for Windows upgrade, so you have the configuration option, right? So go to configuration, you want to upgrade it, you can do that. So upgrade scheduler lets you control when and how many upgrades occur simultaneously, right? So that you can configure here. Then yeah, or once the collector is ready, you can do a right click as well. You will get the upgrade collector version. So you can upgrade it here as well. Okay. Then uninstall, again, similar to your agent, you want to upgrade, you want to uninstall. Once the collector is ready, do a right click. You have the option of uninstall collector, that will be uninstalled. Okay. Then you want to create groups, collector groups, that also you can create static group, dynamic group, very similar to your agents. Okay. Then we need to configure the profiles. Okay. In your profiles, you need to define what you are going to collect. So your file beat or winlog beat. So you can configure your profiles. So you have profiles for Linux. Only your file beat is there. Okay. Supports only file beat, not your winlog beat. Okay. So you can use the out-of-box templates for easy setup. Configure JSON or this JSON or text file ingestion. No compression support. Windows, both file beat as well as winlog beat. Okay, so both are compatible here. Again, we saw how to configure this profile. And yeah, once the profile is ready, add it to your policy rule, push the policy rules to the Windows collectors. Okay. Yeah, so that's about it, guys. Module number 2 completed. Any questions from this? A long module, I know, but yeah, completed. Any questions? Yes, participants, I'm waiting for any questions. If no questions, give me a thumbs up, please. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Kwan. Thank you, Tuan. Awesome. So 4 people. Thank you. Okay. So lab will be installing the agent. Will be playing with the agents. Okay. One more thumbs up. Thank you. And Rajaya. Thank you. And we'll be creating the groups. We'll be creating the policies. Also, we'll be playing with the collectors. Okay. So all these are the 3 labs we need to complete for today. Now, how long the lab is open for? So when I show you the lab, so let's say I go to the lab. Okay. Now this is my lab environment. Now, when I minimize this, on the top right, you can see how long the lab will be open. So it is open for 5 days to 5 days and 4 hours. And it will be open for at night also. You want to do it at the night time. For 5 days straight, 24 hours, it will be open only. Okay. So you'll be able to do the labs. Even if you want to do it at the night time, it will be open. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, guys. So let's quickly go ahead and start doing the labs. So we need to complete 6 labs for today. Okay, so the labs to be completed for today is 6. So yeah, if you want to take a small break, please do and come back and start doing the labs. Okay, so again, I will give you the lab credentials if you missed out last time or if somebody joined late, I will provide you the lab credentials again. So please make a note of it and please make a note of this lab credentials. You will be using the same thing uh, for for whole 5 days. Okay, so please save it somewhere. Let's say in a notepad or something like that. So this will be the lab URL. Okay, and then your lab user credentials. I'll copy paste the user credentials. So these are the usernames. Okay, and then your password. The password is a common password. And also you want the lab guide, you want to download the lab guide, you can download it from this link. Yeah. So I hope you all have got the materials with you. So just follow the lab guide and you will be able to perform the labs. Okay. And labs to be completed today is from lab number 1 to be lab number 1 to 6. Okay. So labs to be completed today 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so 6 labs are there, guys. So please start doing the lab. Go to a small break, come back and start the lab. And once you complete the labs, please update in the chat box. I will mark your attendance. Okay, and also I need to follow how many labs you are completing. And yeah, we will be completing for the day. We will be done for the day. Okay, so yeah, I will take a small break, guys, and I'll come back in 5 minutes. You can also take a small break, come back and start the labs. Okay, I'll put on the timer for 10 minutes. Yeah, we'll see you after the after the break. So please update on the chat box if you are completing the labs. Okay. Henry Jaya asks, does a single user need a install two installers? See, Henry Jaya, if you install the agent, okay, on the endpoint, collector is not required for that endpoint. Why? Because the agent itself will collect all the logs. Whatever logs are there, whatever is happening on the agent side, it will automatically collect the logs and send it to the management console. Okay. On the endpoints, all on any device, okay, you are not having the agent. In those devices or those endpoints, you can install the collector. Okay. You don't have to collect both in a single device. No. If you have an agent, collector is not required. Only in the device in which you don't have the agent, you need to install the collector if you want to collect any logs from that device. Okay, so collector will collect any special type of logs. Let's say we saw, right? So like DHCP logs. If I want to collect DHCP logs from a server or from a system, I will install the collector in that. Okay, where I'm not having the agent there, I'll just install the collector and the collector will be collecting these special type of logs and giving it to my console. That's all. Okay, so we don't have to install both in one endpoint. Only the agent is enough. Only if you don't have the agent and you still want to collect any special type of logs, you can go for the XDR collector. Okay, does that answer your question? Yes, Henrijaya. Ah, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, then. So we'll go for a short break and then come back. In the meantime, guys, if you want to start the labs, feel free to start the labs. If the collector have any license requirements, yes, yes. The collector, if you want to have the collectors, you need to get the license proper GB license. Okay, you need to get the proper GB license. That means some more extra memory, some more extra storage. Okay, since you are going for collector, you need to go for extra storage. Okay, so you need to get the proper GB license. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Every time I update a profile or policy in Cortex XDR, do I need to trigger check-in on the agent? No, not required. Okay, so what will happen is it will automatically be pushed when the 5 minutes happen, when the automatic heartbeat happens, right? So whenever after every 5 minutes, by default, the heartbeat will happen. Okay, so at that point of time, it will take the profile or policy. Okay, so yeah, it is not required. But if you are configuring something and you immediately want that profile to be sent to the agent, then you need to manually perform the heartbeat. Or let's say 5 minutes, within 5 minutes, the automatic heartbeat will happen and hence you don't have to do it. Okay. But you want the profile or policy to be sent immediately. As soon as you are creating it or modifying it, you want to push it immediately. You don't have to wait for the automatic heartbeat. You have to initially initiate a heartbeat then. Manually, you need to initiate the heartbeat. Yeah, do you get the answer? Yes. Yes, no, Henry. Got the answer? Okay, awesome. Okay, guys. I will go for the break and make sure you update the labs, guys. Only then I will be able to put the attendance. Okay. And only if I give you the attendance, you will be able to generate the certificate. Okay. So certificate that you have attended the course, you'll be able to generate only if I give the attendance. Okay. So make sure you update the labs. Okay. Okay, guys, going for a small break. We'll see you after the break. Thank you. Hey participants, I hope you have started doing the labs. So yes, as I said, please update once the labs are completed. Okay. Or if you want to do it at your own time later, that is also not a problem. Okay. But I just want you guys to finish the lab before coming to session tomorrow. Okay. So if you want to do it later, please update that in the chat box. Tell me that you will do the labs later, and then that will also be fine. I'm not going to force you to do it now itself. Okay. But make sure you update that to me in the chat box. Okay, so please mention that in the chat box, and then oh, done lab 4-5. Okay, excellent. Okay, so one more lab remaining for Kim. So yeah. So as you keep completing the labs, please update it in the chat box. Okay, so till lab number 6 we need to complete for today, guys. Okay, and once you complete the lab number 6, please update in the chat box. Also, please tell me your full name. Mention your full name in the chat box. I will update your attendance. Okay. Yeah, so please, I'll be here in mute. If anything, any issues, please let me know. Okay, so I'll be sitting here in mute. Yeah.
Cek 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 cek. Udah. Tes 1 2 3.